What is up, guys? Welcome back to a Sunday special episode of Boleros. Gab, the Sultan of Sando, here with the man, the myth, the legend himself, the prophet, Mr. Maui Yap, looking so handsome. What a collared shirt. Hindi ako sanay, Maui, na ang pogi-pogi mo.
Wala eh. We're out of we're not home but we're doing an episode, 'di ba? We had to make do.
Uh, Hot date yan si Maui tonight, guys, by the way. Pero, ball is life. Kaya, he's here. He's here doing an episode. Yeah, but still without Sammy here today. Still abroad, enjoying time with his family. He'll be back. He'll be back sooner or later. Once he gets through the jet lag, he will be back with us. We'll be discussing a lot of things, a lot of crazy things that happened. He wasn't able to discuss the VJ Pre news. I'm sure he's just as shocked as we are. So we will discuss that all once Sammy comes back. But today, we are especially going to talk about the biggest game of the UAAP preseason. It happened yesterday in Phil Oil. The De La Salle Green Archers behind 31 points of Jacob freaking Cortez, the cool cub, beating the UP Fighting Maroons in their first game since the season 87 finals, 106-99, a high-scoring game. It was a treat to watch. I think you and I, Ma, we were very sad that we weren't able to watch it live, but watching it from our TV screens, from our phones, was intense. We're sure it was a hell of a game. The shot making in this game was incredible, but we're all gonna talk about it. And how are we gonna talk about it? We're gonna do the biggest takeaways. So we're not gonna recap the entire game minute by minute, quarter by quarter, but we are gonna talk about the biggest takeaways yung that we had. I'll start first with Maui, and I have a feeling I know where he's going with this. Maui, what is your biggest takeaway from LaSalle UP yesterday?
Definitely ang biggest takeaway ko is Jacob Cortez is for real. 'Di ba? I think I tweeted this out also. Jacob Cortez, for all the doubters, 'di ba? Of all the doubters from that he will not be able to translate yung game niya from the NCAA. I think it was answered. 'Di ba? In this game was, I mean, the nickname, the cool cub, the second coming of Mike Cortez.
Bro, I was
Lasal
having so many flashbacks, Maui. Ang dami kong flashbacks. Yung ang daming PTSD yung nangyayari sa utak ko nung ginagawa lahat yun ni Jacob Cortez. Go ahead.
the whole time me and my dad were watching, actually naalala namin si the cool cat, 'di ba? So very Gab, what you mentioned, flashbacks from the early 2000s, revealing our age. But yeah, si Jacob Cortez was for real. I think not just scoring, 'di ba, but setting up the offense, getting some easy baskets for his teammates, basically showing his full bag, 'di ba? Driving to the basket, hitting contested three-pointers, contested mid-range shots. I think my best takeaway from the game is ang ganda kasi if you look at yung field goal percentage ni Jacob Cortez, he shot 12 for 16, si Baklaan shot 9 for 15. You would easily conclude that these two guys did not force things up a lot during the game. Maybe some portions of the fourth quarter, but ang ganda nung ano nila, ang ganda that they were sharing the ball, 'di ba? Kasi these two guys are basically high usage guys coming to LaSalle. People were skeptical at first. How can Coach Topex make this work? Two small point guards, but as we've said in the past, 'di ba, si Coach Topex is a master of making lineups work, especially this type of lineup. We saw how the Marcelino twins were able to make a career in San Sebastian, 'di ba? And now they have Jacob
Di
Cortez
ba
and
Lyceum?
or maybe Lyceum. I'm confused sa teams ni Coach Topex, but grabe. I think this game proved that Jacob Cortez is the real deal. Kasi si Kian Bakla naman, we know that he will be a star, di ba? He was a star in NU. He was their primary scoring option, ball handler, facilitator. But what I really loved about the game was that you saw that these two guys really knew how to play off each other. This will be the biggest test for them. I think them making it work 'Di ba? Kasi Lasal has a lot of so many mouths to feed. These two guys, these two minions, as coach as si Miko Halili would say, will be tasked to basically make sure that everybody is happy, make sure that that their offense is flowing. What a game! 'Di ba? When can you see a UAP matchup where the two teams score close to 100 or the total score is over 200, 'di ba? This is crazy. I loved how high powered of how both teams showcase their firepower, how they showcase yung talent, extreme talent. When we talk about Lasal and UP, we always say that they have the best talent in the UAP, and this game basically showcased that talent.
Agree, Maui. Noong una, it was a bit of, I think, some jitters from UP. They were struggling to get into their offense, a ton of turnovers to start the game. But once their 3-point shots went in, and I think it was a Raylan Torres corner three that started the 3-point barrage, that's when their offense started clicking, and they hit a ton of threes. I think they hit a total of 12 compared to LaSalle's 6. 8 of those, I think, were in the first half alone. They were just hitting on all cylinders from 3-point range. But yeah, back to your point, to your biggest takeaway, see Jacob Cortez. You know, I don't think I've ever seen anyone run circles around the UP Fighting Maroon guards. That was, ako na pa, my jaw was dropping from how Jacob Cortez was breaking down every single UP defender they put on him. Whether it was
Suave.
Remog, suave, no panic, just in his own speed, wasn't being sped up by any of the UP guards. They started off with Remogat. They put Alarcon on him. It did not work. They put where they switched Felicilda on him. It didn't work. They finally put Abadjano on him, and he still ran circles around Jerry Abadjano. I have never seen this from anyone in the UAAP. Anyone, I have never seen this. It was a masterclass. The footwork, the spin moves, the court vision. It started off with him dishing 2 passes to Bright Nwango underneath. That's how it started. That's how the game opened up. It's amazing how he can easily get to his spots. You know, despite, we all know how UP plays defense. If you're watching the Indiana Pacers now, it's similar to that. They're bodying up people. They're reaching. They're holding. They're bumping. They're being as physical as they can to get you off your game. Jacob just looked unbothered. He was like, okay, body me up, bump me. I'm gonna draw a foul. I'm gonna use the screens. Get to my mid-range shot. Hit this. You're gonna close out on my 3-point shot. I'm gonna attack that closeout. Get to the basket. Just showed the entire thing. Just incredible. And not to rain on Kian Baclaan's parade. Kian Baclaan was just as awesome. He was even zoomed in. And di ko na nakita mo Maui. He was zoomed in. He got an N1 ng Terence Fortea. And you could see he really, kita mo yung pagmouth niya ng mura kay Terence Fortea. I mean, I think Terence hit a 3 on the other end right before that. Then suddenly si Kian got an L1 and turned around and then sabi niya, PI mo! Right at Terence Fortea. But yeah, Kian was in his bag also in this game, except for the free throws. I mean, Kian, baka gusto mong yung trabahuin yung free throws na yan. But yeah, both of these two guards showed, I think, why they are part of my top 5 point guards for season 88 and why everyone is so high on this LaSalle backcourt. I have never seen any backcourt do this to the UP Fighting Maroons. No freaking way. And the dagger, and even in the final minutes of the fourth quarter, even when UP was within 2 or 3 one possession game, Jacob Cortez hitting that step back, just the calm demeanor, again, the flashbacks to his dad, everything was there. I was so amazed, Maui. I could not believe how Jacob just took apart this UP defense. How Jacob made Jerry Abadjano look like a normal guard. Jerry Abadjano we've seen him. He's probably the best perimeter defender in the UAAP, and Jacob
Kaya nga
just
Scary Jerry, di ba?
kaya nga siya scary Jerry eh. But Jacob just made him look like a normal guard. Spin move, pump fake. Okay, I caught you in the air. I'm gonna shoot it off the glass. Just freaking amazing, this Jacob. I have he might be better than Remogat right now, in all honesty. Which leads me to one of my biggest takeaways for this game. Slow down on Ray Remogat is a bust. Slow down on Ray Remogat is not worth the investment. For those for those who commented or parang kulangan yung investment nyo kay Remogat or walang ROI. Calm down. He's much better than this. Okay, I'm not panicking. Yes, he had a stinker of a game. Let's go at it straight. He sucked yesterday. He really sucked. 4 points is no way for you to come out against your potential title contender, the De La Salle Green Archers. That is no way to show how much UP valued getting you into their team as the preeminent replacement for a JD Kagulanga. That was no way to play against the De La Salle Green Archers. Okay, let us get that out of the way. Yes, he sucked, but let's not panic. UP fans, UAAP fans, or all other school fans, let's not panic about Ray Remogat. He will be just fine. I've seen him play an entire season as the main good dude in UE. He'll be just fine, okay? Let's put it that way. With that being said, they do have to address his defense. Because wow, he was fucking horrible on defense. And he started off on Jacob Cortez, actually. And Jacob Cortez was getting anything he wanted against Noy Remogat. He was getting to his spots. He was just toying around with Noy Remogat in the first quarter. That is why they put in Jan so early. Diba, Maui, nung first quarter pa lang, know na si Coach Gold. Actually, sasabi ko sa inyo, alam mo nang seryoso si Coach Gold, pang nakatayo na siya. Diba? Sa all other games, nung last game nila versus UE, nakaupo na si Coach Gold the entire game. Or any other game, he's just sitting down, he's letting si Tom Chua coach, he's letting si Chris Loanzon coach. Ngayon, first quarter pa lang, Coach Gold was up from his seat. You know he was into this game. But yeah, Noy Remogat has to do better on defense. The fact that they had to put in Jan right away to address the defensive issues that they were facing against Kian Baclaan and especially si Jacob Cortez shows that kink in the armor of Noy Remogat. If he's not exploding on the offensive end, they will have to find a way to hide him on the defensive end. And that's what they did actually. Pagdating, I think, latter part of the second quarter and start of the third quarter, they started to hide him on defense. So he was playing with Alarcon, he was playing with Abadjano. Abadjano was taking Cortez, si Alarcon was taking si Baclaan, and they were switching. They were hiding Noy Remogat on, I think, si Goliena or si Makalalag in the corner. They weren't letting him go near those two guards because they knew he was going to get cooked. That's just it. And then, anytime they switched onto Noy Remogat, they were trying to attack him. And heck, even in the fourth quarter, when Doy Dungo got the ball, he cooked Remogat. Remogat was not communicating on defense. He was getting caught in no man's land underneath. He was getting caught in picks. He was not communicating with his bigs. That is a real issue for UP. I do think. They're not... siguro hindi sila sanay that there's one liability on defense. Because si JD was always a pretty solid defender. And then he was always paired up with si Alarcon, si Abadjano. Cortez, kind of solid on defense. He doesn't give an inch. This is one of the things that we talked about when they announced that they were getting Remogat from UE. Yes, we know the offensive skills of Remogat, and we know that he can dominate the game with his shooting, with his playmaking. We know that. But what about the defense? Because UP values defense. They won championships on defense. They've been dominant for so long because of defense. But the Remogat is not exactly a defender. He's not exactly a lockdown defender. So I do expect that they will do more of this moving forward, that they will use Remogat with two other perimeter defenders with him. I don't think you will see Remogat with like a Chico Briones out there or a Josh Coronel, ganon. You will see him more with the likes of Abadjano and Alarcon. Two other perimeter defenders who can take on assignments on the other end and can help him out on the defensive end. So yun ang big takeaway ko. Yes, it was a stinker for Noy Mogat. Don't panic. He'll be fine. But the defense is an issue that they will have to address moving forward. Maui, your thoughts. And then just give your next big takeaway.
Yeah, I would have to agree. 'Di ba? It's not time to panic for Himogat. We know what he can do. It will take time. 'Di ba? It's not like JD Kagulangan where he had the time to really assimilate himself into both the offensive and defensive end. I think si Mogat has to be able to communicate with his bigs and wing players better, especially on the defensive end. I think the best thing that you can take away from the game is he had 5 assists and 1 turnover. It's something that UP has to continue to work on it. Diba? It's lessening turnovers is basically a good thing in the UAAP. You want to be able to set up your defense, and preventing turnovers is the number one mitigating factor to that. But I would think that Rimogat will be primed for a bounce back game. They will just have to be able to really work on him, try to build around him both on the offensive and defensive end. But I don't think it's time to panic, di ba? There's a reason why you put him I think you put him number 1, di ba, in your point guard rankings, and
Number 2 naman. Si Forsky pa rin ang
yeah,
number 1 ko. I
number
still think he's the
1.
best.
So number 2 over Baklaan and Cortez. It's just one game. It's actually a good test for Noy Rimogat this off season going up against LaSalle, so that when the games really matter, when it's the final four, when it's the finals, or even when they're fighting to get that number 1 seed against LaSalle, he will be able to fare better. Remember, Rimogat is playing in a system that's completely different from that free flow offense, 'di ba? Also from UE. So there will be headaches, there will be time for adjustments, but definitely I see him being better, especially when it comes to the second round of the UAP. It's a long preseason. It's a long preseason. It's still a long way to go till the season. This guy has been hyped by everyone, not just the fans, even from some of my sources from UP. They're actually scared that he might even get recruited, diba, to the KBL. So it's only a matter of time before Rimogat puts his stamp in UP. My other key takeaway from this game is, will this be the main rotation of UP? My main surprise.
Mm.
My main surprise from this game was Seven Gagate got 13 minutes and Sean Alter only got 4 minutes. Will this
I think there's a
continue?
reason for that, Maui. But para sige, go ahead.
Diba? Will this continue to be the rotation of the UP? Because it looks like yung wing rotation nila, yung guard wing rotation nila is all set. I love what I saw from Francis Noruka from this game. Diba? Maybe in the latter parts of the game, he was forcing some shots, but I love the aggressiveness. I love how he even decided to shoot some 3 pointers. Diba? I think the first basket of UP that was a corner 3 pointer from Noruka.
Yep.
So you love the confidence of your FSA. I think he has a ton of ceiling. Si Ododu, from what I've heard, is he just came back and I think he's still injured. So it's looking like that maybe Francis Noruka is gonna be the FSA of UP unless if they surprise us. But I like the upside, especially on the offensive end. I like how he matched up with Mike Phillips, yung energy niya. I think that's very important. When you talk about LaSalle's main advantage with UP, it's Mike Phillips, di ba? It's the main weapon of LaSalle, not even Jacob Cortez or Kian Baklaan. Mike Phillips will be a monster this season. You saw how he did in the Asia Basket Finals, di ba? or actually in the first matchup against Ateneo in Asia Basket, when Ateneo's FSA was only able to play 9 minutes, and he had a 30-20 game. That's how much upside Mike Phillips has this season, and it's gonna be interesting to see how it develops. Diba? I think another thing that I would like to note with regards to the rotation of UP, Mark Belmonte only playing 11 minutes. Diba? We thought that with
I
KQ
think that's the
God,
reason why we saw some 7 Gagate minutes, Maui. He was
diba?
terrible.
Mark Belmonte was terrible. I think si Alter also did not play well. That has been a recurring theme all preseason long, I think, for Alter. And it's good to see si Kagate healthy and fighting to get minutes. I love how he played during this game, how he battled, especially with si Pablo, 'di ba, from LaSalle. So I think one of my key takeaways is that I think that si Gagate has the inside track to get maybe 15 to 20 minutes, and that's a welcome sight coming from a big fan of this guy. I'm a big fan of most of the guys that played with Mason Amos and Brandon Bahay, because I watched them play for Batangilas, and I think him and Pablo also have a ton to show. Even si Coronel, if he gets healthy. But si Pablo and si Gagate are two guys that we expect to, if they show their potential, if they outperform the UAP, then they could potentially be players also for the seniors team of Gilas. I love their size. Gab.
Yeah, actually, nagulat ako. I think Gagate, once he was inserted into the game, had 6 straight points, a layup, a putback, a tip in, I think. So kudos to him, man. I mean, he is supposedly the fourth center on this team, maybe the third ahead of Alter. But and this goes to one of my key takeaways. LaSalle has a power forward problem. Center, I think Noruko and Stevens are locking that up. I'm pretty confident in that now. Stevens is pretty solid there. Noruka seems to, again, the upside of Noruka, I think UP has to go with that. And the fact that he could put in 21 points against Mike Phillips and the LaSalle front line, I think tells you all you need to know, that this guy should be the FSA and maybe the starting center or one of the two main centers of this UP roster come season 88. But yeah, I think the power forwards, that's going to be a problem for UP. As I said, Mark Belmonte, he had 3 fouls. I think all of those 3 fouls were end ones. I think one of them was him closing out terribly on Mason Amos and allowing Mason Amos to get to the basket for an end one. And I'm like, Mark Belmonte, you do know that Mason Amos is what, like 5 times slower than you? You could easily just slide your feet and prevent that drive, man. I mean,
Ngayon,
you've seen
ngayon
him.
mabigat na nawala si Terculas, I think, di ba? We were seeing the aftermath of them losing Lopez.
Yep. Actually, tama. No? If Terculas was there, they would have no problem. We think very highly of Terculas. He played big minutes the past seasons, but Iniguez, when he came in, he was also getting cooked. Missed assignments all the time. I mean, we saw him in Pinoy Liga, hit a couple of threes, was playing well, albeit sometimes against lower competition. But now against LaSalle, medyo lumabas ang ano na to, mga, how should I say, mga flaws ni Iniguez and ni Belmonte, and the defensive end is where you saw it. As I said, Maui, when you said we saw Gatti play extended minutes, I think there was a reason for that, because Belmonte and Iniguez were giving them nothing on the defensive end. They were getting beat all the time. And again, I keep on saying this, when you're playing in a deep team, when a team as stacked as UP, your flaws are magnified. Diba? Because there are already replacements. If you don't give it on defense, if you have terrible defensive positioning and discipline like yung like Belmonte has, makita yung lalabas, because the other guys around you are also good. The guys on the bench are also good. And unfortunately, this is the power forwards that they will have to deal with right now. I do think they can go with a bit of small ball with Baila at the 4. I do think they can get away with that because Baila is also a taller player. Maybe we'll see more of that. But Belmonte, man, and Iniguez, it doesn't look good right now. Let's see. We talk about the center problem in UP. I think the power forward spot is more problematic because against other teams they might actually get away with it of playing Belmonte in Iniguez just because of their overwhelming talent. But against this LaSalle team who's just as stacked as they are, they're not gonna get away with playing Belmonte and Iniguez for prolonged periods of time. Kahit anytime any LaSalle player saw Mark Belmonte defending them, they were like KQ, like barbecue chicken, baby. Let's do this. Mark Belmonte's on me. Let's do this. So, yeah, UP has to address that.
The fact
I'll go
that
next.
sorry, I just have to say the fact that they were running some Noroka and Gani Stevens lineups, I think speaks volumes on how
Yep.
awful the two power forwards were during the game.
Yep. I'll go first, Maui, to my one of my big takeaways before we go to you. One of my biggest takeaway from this game, I don't know how you could walk away from that game and not see that we're again headed for a LaSalle UP finals. Oh, si Maui, you agree with me? It's the showcase of talent from these two teams. The talent, depth, pressure, ang layo. Ang layo. So much for all those commenters from our two previous episodes ago who said, may parity pa rin sa UAAP. If you watch this game, it's pretty obvious. It's just these two teams. We're not they're no one's close, and we're Ateneans, and we're even Ateneo's not close. They're not close to UP, and it's not close to UP and LaSalle. It's
Marami
just
pang
not.
bigas ang ibang
Yes.
teams.
UST, they might be the closest, but they're a far third for me. Or even si NU, malayo. Malayo. I don't know how you could walk away from that game and not and not see that it's just gonna be a UP LaSalle finals again, probably for the third straight. Unless some crazy injury happens. Knock on wood. I hope no one gets injured or yung or someone gets whatever. If anything crazy happens, probably. But we're going to LaSalle UP finals. Yes, Boss Matt Lee, we are going live kasi marami kami gagawin. Saka si Maui na yung nagbabakasyon, nag-staycation. But yeah, it's hard, no? It's hard to see anyone from the 6 other teams in the UAP actually making it to the finals and just matching up with these two teams. I don't know. Yun lang, Maui, man. I walked away from that game and just said, yeah, I'm right. We are headed. It's a 2-team league. We are headed for another UP LaSalle finals. There's no way the other 6 teams are competing. There's no way. Your thoughts, Maui?
Yeah, I completely agree. Di ba? I just said nung start ng podcast that they showcase yung talent nila, di ba? Especially on the offensive end, di ba? I don't think any other UAP team is capable to score this much. And these two teams have so many options. A lot of people can create off the dribble. You saw Dungo scoring off the dribble. You saw Fortea scoring 17 points. I think it's hitting 48% from his 3 points in the field oil so far. So many talent in these two teams. Diba? You wouldn't even realize that si KQ and Lopez left from last season. And these two guys are generational talents. Diba? That speaks volumes on how good, how deep these two teams are. Diba? They lost, UP lost QMB, lost Kagulangan, lost Lopez, but they're still capable of putting so much points on the board. I mean, you wouldn't know that this was a game that they could have easily won if some of the baskets of LaSalle didn't go in. Uh, what I want to see is if we get UP versus LaSalle again, is hopefully we get 5 games. And 5 games of games like this. High scoring, toe-to-toe, so many lead changes, so many three-pointers, so many highlights, everybody contributing. It's a bit different when you talk about LaSalle because in previous season, maybe si KQ had big games and maybe si Phillips was the lone person to score double figures. This season, I think that they have a ton of guys capable of scoring double figures. Same with UP. It's gonna be more of a collective effort from both teams. They lost some star power, but at the end of the day, the talent level, the talent level of these two teams are so much. The gap is so big, so much bigger, especially with UST losing Motong Kara. I don't know if any other team would be capable of especially if these two teams end up 1-2. I don't think any team would be capable of defeating these two teams back to back.
Yeah, exactly.
Diba?
I don't see any way any of the six other teams in with UP and LaSalle and with a twice to beat advantage. There's no way they're beating them twice. Di ba, Maui? I can't see it. I just can't.
Tsaka 'di ba, you talk about injuries. Even if one or two of the two players from these teams get injured, knock on wood, they would still have another person to replace those people. Imagine, LaSalle wasn't playing Daep, LaSalle wasn't playing Abadam, UP wasn't playing
Baila.
Jacob Baila. Diba they have a ton of firepower that did not even suit up during that game. Yet both teams did not look like they were missing a beat. Diba? This game was winnable for both teams. This game was I love how it was toe to toe from tip off, 'di ba? Maybe UP was struggling during the start of the game, but when they were able to adjust and get into the flow of the game, it was basically there was so many lead changes, and I would love to see 5 games of this type of basketball. I think that's the
I think
consolation prize we can
I
wish
think
for.
we will get some, Maui. I mean, there. I think with how they're lined up right now in Phil Oil, we're probably gonna get a LaSalle UP finals. Crossing our fingers. I think they're both in the university games in Japan, so we're gonna get. Let's hope. Let's hope we're gonna get that.
Madami-dami.
And then come season 88, we're probably gonna get. We're for sure gonna get 2 meetings of them. Probably gonna get more, to be honest. Or at least 4 during the season 88. So yeah, it's exciting. This is the these are the two most talented teams again. I just don't see anyone else contending alongside them. But Maui, another takeaway.
Yeah. I think one of the things that I really love from the game is UP was able to contain si Mike Phillips, 'di ba? I think that's the biggest question coming into season 88. How will they be able to stop Mike Phillips now with UMB gone? And si Mike Phillips looked, well, he still put up numbers, but he looked human. Versus the other UAAP teams, Mike Phillips has looked like a pro player, maybe a
A
college
man amongst
player, a
boys.
man amongst boys, a college player playing with high schoolers, diba? And I think that's the key to UP getting that back-to-back championship. Them being able to contain Mike Phillips. The next thing would be for them to understand how to contain the two-headed minion, diba? But I think this is a good step for UP. Them being able to contain Mike Phillips, rebounds, them being able to force Mike Phillips to play out of his comfort zone. And I think si Nuruka really played a big part. Yung energy niya and how he really makes Mike Phillips work on both ends of the floor. I'm excited to see yung matchup nila. Grabe, 'di ba? Hopefully we get a ton more. As you mentioned, we're gonna get a ton more UP Lasal games, but I hope all of the games are like this. Nerve-wracking and you don't know who's gonna win the game.
Yeah. You touched on this earlier, and this is one of also my key takeaways from this game. This is a much better LaSalle team than last season. Even with KQ last season, I think this team, even without KQ this season, this team is hell of a lot better than LaSalle last season.
Mas
Uh,
balance.
mas balance. You don't know where they're gonna go on offense. Diba? Last season, it kind of was predictable because it was either KQ, post up, yung KQ ISO on the wing, diba? Or yung Mike Phillips from the high post operating, yung dribble handoff, ganun. It became predictable. I think that played a part in them losing game 3 of the finals against UP. Their offense became predictable. They were zoning in on KQ. They were letting Mike Phillips operate. The other players could not contribute. Now you don't know where the offense is gonna go. You could go to Cortez, pick and roll. You can go to the other side, baklaan, pick and roll. You can even go to the corner for JC Makalalag, pick and roll, or dribble and handoff. You can even go to a pick and pop with Mason, who we haven't even mentioned, played a really good game. Did the spot up shooting really well, and to have a spot up shooter like Mason Amos free on nearly on every touch he had, he was wide open. That's one hell of a luxury. Because they don't run any plays for him. He just stands in the wing or in the corner waiting for a 3-point shot. That's one hell of a weapon to have. If you have Mason Amos as a spot up shooter, he showed his worth. I think hit 3 threes and had an and one against Mark Belmonte. So you see his role. It's definitely less than what he was in Ateneo, the role that he had. But man, it's a luxury that LaSalle could really use. They didn't have this last season. They didn't have a knockdown shooter like a knockdown shooter as capable as Mason Amos last season. I think honestly, that's what they were lacking. They were relying a lot on KQ to bail them out, to do his very awesome 3-point shots, no? But the rest of his team, hot and cold eh. Sometimes si Goldena hits threes, sometimes he doesn't. Si Makalalag is on and off. Si Abadam is on and off. Si Mason you could trust. Na he's a high percentage 3-point shooter, and he's gonna be exactly what this team needs. And of course, I do want to give a shout out to Luis Pablo. Had a mini revenge game against his former team. They did match up, diba? Si Gagata and si Pablo for a bit. So I don't know if they were trash talking na may ganun. But definitely si Pablo played this part. He was playing some center. They were having difficulties actually with him at center and with Mason, and that Mason Pablo front court I don't think is gonna be around for long stretches during games, especially with an FSA as capable as Noruka, or they get matched up with an Omar John or Precious Mamaway. I don't think they can go with Pablo and Mason na sabay, which brings me to Bright Noanco. He actually played pretty decently. Diba? So, I don't think we're gonna see big minutes from Bright. It looks like si Bright ang maging FSA. Henry, where are you? So far, no show. There's no word from anyone yung whether Henry Agonar is still with LaSalle or if he's still gonna play in season 88. But Bright, he does his role. He's not gonna play big minutes, but he does his role. It will be interesting to see what LeBron James Daep's role is gonna be once he plays with this team against the likes of a UP. I don't think he'll play center. I highly doubt it. So I think it's gonna be Pablo and Bright trying to back up Mike Phillips at center. Dominic Sarmiento I've not even seen him touch the floor even in blowout. So I don't think he's gonna suddenly play. So that's it for me. Maui, anything else?
Just a shout out also for Real Melencio and Joshua Coronel, both recovering from a double ACL injury, I think. Finally, they're healthy. And they were able to get some minutes. Si Melencio, I was shocked that he was actually inserted to the game, I think, in the third quarter.
Nagulat ako bigla nandun siya sa court. Like, what? They're playing Real Melencio in a close game?
parang hugot lang ni Coach Topex nung last finals, 'di ba? But yeah, happy for these two guys. I think they're both high potential guys that we hopefully see in the this coming UAAP season. Both very athletic, both very dynamic forwards, and both who recovered from pretty crazy injuries. But yeah, I think that's it for me also.
I have one last one, and I think the Harold Alarcon breakout, I think, is really coming. Finally. We talked about this a few episodes ago, whether Harold Alarcon will actually be a breakout star finally in season 88 after two previous seasons than we thought he would break out. I think finally this is it. He's just the ball is gonna be in his hands a lot, especially if Ray Mogat is gonna be played off the court because of his defense. They're gonna rely a lot on Harold Alarcon to carry them on offense. He was doing a lot of it, hit 9 out of 10 free throws, knew how to get to the free throw line, was hitting his jump shots, mid-range, his threes, he was hitting it. A lot of playmaking was going through Harold. I really think this is it. Finally, Maui, after 2 or 3 seasons, this is it for Harold Alarcon. I think we're gonna see it.
Magpapabudol tayo uli ng off-season kay Alarcon. But yeah, I agree. I think si Terence Fortea is also primed for a big season. You just see yung he's playing with a different type of confidence this season. Hopefully no more injuries. I think that's something that contributed to him having slow starts in UAAP seasons in previous years. Hopefully he was actually one of the top guys, 'di ba? If you talk about the Bull Pops coming out of high school, he was the one that was highly touted. So I'm happy that
top scorer. Siya yung leading scorer ng Bull Pops.
Yeah, siya yung leading scorer. I think his outside shooting will really be yung main weapon niya, and maybe just maybe he can surprise us, and from what I hear, I think even teams abroad are looking at him, just valuing his outside shooting, and let's see.
That's it, guys. Thank you for joining us on this live stream. We really enjoyed it. It was a hell of a game. We want more. I think we're gonna get the UP LaSalle finals and Phil Oil. Honestly, I don't see anyone from the UAAP bracket. I don't see anyone from the NCAA bracket actually beating these two teams, unless Clint Escames goes for 40 or 50 points suddenly. then bigla na lang na sila yung nasa finals or something like that. But otherwise, I think we're gonna get more of these, and it's one hell of a basketball game. It's a pleasure to watch if you're a UAAP fan. Just the amount of talent of these two teams. So that's it for us. We'll be back within the week. We'll recap the other games. Don't worry, hindi namin nakalimutan yung UE, yung NU, FU, and UST are playing tomorrow. We'll be watching it. We'll be covering it. Don't worry, we'll talk about that. Overtime game again ng Adamson at NU kanina. We'll talk about that also.
Mainit na.
May recruiting news pa. We'll talk all about that within the week. It's just gonna be me and Maui again, but see y'all. Bye-bye.